Hello, everyone. My name is Blair SInta. Welcome to the Recording Drums podcast. Today, I'm talking to my friend Zach St. John, who's a great drummer here in LA. Zach's been working around town for well over a decade. He has a pretty cool story about coming out from Wisconsin, working a lot in Wisconsin before this, being pretty good at tuning drums and things. And the angle he took to get to know people around town was by doing cartage for drum doctors. So he got to know a lot of well-known drummers, set their drums up, got to know engineers, second engineers, producers, studio people, and made his way into the scene by doing that angle, which I think is pretty cool. And he's got a great studio here, which is fairly close to me in town. He's in Burbank, and he's modeled that studio after Henson, which is one of his favorite studios in town. So he shows us around the studio. We have some cool conversations about his cartage days and how he's working in town these days. I got a new course coming out in about a week. It's called the Snare Sound Bible. All right. If you want to know how to get particular snare drum sounds, if you want to get good at tuning your snares for studio sessions or live sessions, this is going to be a great course. It goes really in depth on all kinds of sounds. You hear a snare sound on a record, this is going to show you how. All right, so that's going to be out in about a week, and I'm pretty excited about that course. So I've been working hard on it this fall. All right, let's get to the interview with Zach. Well, sweet. So where is your studio exactly? You must be right near me, dude.
Yeah, we're pretty close. I'm probably 10 minutes from you. I just live like by the airport in Burbank, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
Really close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been in there a while, right?
Yeah, I bought this house like 10, 12 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
Right, like when the market kind of took a dip and like,
okay.
I'd always wanted like, that detached garage, like, you have, and like to convert it and then have like the main house. And at one time we had 4 dogs, so I wanted a yard. And it's similar to your spot, like as far as like kind of layout of everything. It's like almost a duplicate of your spot.
Okay, I didn't realize. Cool. I thought you had more of a commercial space just because it looks big, but I guess you took a different approach with mine. Than mine, you just kind of left it open. That's what.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of walk around for you so you can see it, but yeah, I basically designed it as knowing like how you have. I mean, I always think about you and like, oh man, I wish I had a control room that was separate, like. Because I'm like you do all the time, like you have buds that come over, or like when I first met you was when I forget the band where I came over, recorded at your place, and that's when I first met you, which was really awesome. And I was like, oh man, he's got a control room and a drum room and all the drums. I'm like, that's sweet, I love it.
Yeah.
And so when I have people here, it's like I have kind of a spot where like where either I sit and I'm, controlling engineering and kind of producing or whatever.
Okay.
But I'm like right in the room and we just, we're headphones for everything.
Right.
That's the only downside, but usually, we're in our rooms and working, and like right below me here where you can't see it is like 2 racks of gear, monitor. And I just kind of sit here and I'm able to reach everything, and it makes it fast for recording too. Like, just trying to get lots of things done. I can be tweaking levels and tweaking, compression and things like that. It's just, for me, it works really well versus having like a separate control room most of the time,
So I'm curious. I talked to Mario Caleri, and he has a similar setup to you, is where he just has this rack right next to him. When you listen back for sounds, are you switching to monitors and pulling headphones off? Is that how you do it?
Oh, good question. So, yeah, I've got monitors. I'll show you, pick you up so we don't rock the boat too much. But I don't know if you can see the monitors, like right there behind the cymbals. And then, so when I'm just listening to playback and seeing how it sounds, just through speakers, that works. And then versus headphones, UE makes these, normal in-ears that we'll use live, but they're made with the reference monitors. So as far as like getting a really true, clear sound for hearing this with isolation, these work really well for everything else when I'm recording in here, versus typical headphones.
So do you find that's kind of an interesting thing I haven't thought about. So do you find wearing ears when you're actually playing, you're dialing in tones but playing, that it's
Right.
similar to when you stop playing, like because you're not really getting bleed so much?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I can dial everything in almost, exactly. It's very true to what's in the room through the in-ears. These in particular, where there's not, you can get some with like 4, 5, 10 drivers these days. I don't even know. Where these are just very true. Like if you put your ear up to like a drum out front, like basically what I'm always thinking about when there's a microphone up, it's the same thing where there's not a lot of, of fog to it or misrepresentation.
Maybe I got to try it. I never have really been into the in-ear thing in the studio, just because the on and off thing. Like,
right.
I hate taking in-ears in and out, but the idea of that is really interesting to me, just as far as like mix. I mean, I have to run back and forth regardless, which is partly why I have to take on and off. But for that situation, that seems to make perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I started doing it when I'm like not in here, when I'm in whatever studio around town.
Right.
I love it now. I bring these with me everywhere. Okay. And then I have like several ones that I use for live gigs and whatnot. And plus, when you put headphones on, this gets messed up sometimes too,
And hey, there are important things, especially living in LA,
Yeah, I mean, you never know who's gonna walk in.
Yeah. You're walking around Henson and your hair's all screwed up. You may not get the next
right.
day, right? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Taylor Swift judges her drummers by how good the hair looks. That's what I hear.
I mean, no disrespect, of course, right? Yeah.
No disrespect. Yeah. No.
I wouldn't get that gig because my hair just sucks. My hair just.
You got the perfect hair. That's why you get all these huge gigs. You got that look where you can be. I mean, hard rock, vibey. You got like the pop thing. You can do it. That's it. That's why I wish I like mine. Sometimes I'm just like, they're like, oh, Zach looks like a hard rock dude. I'm like, no, man, I can jazz it. No.
I think mine's actually best when I shave most of it off, but I keep going. You should have hair while you have hair. You know what I mean? Like you can shave it later in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that's true. Like I can't remember when I met you. Well, I used to have like long hair. I had like the whole long hair drummer thing, and to me, I mean, I didn't like it at all. It was upkeep. It was always in my face. Like it looked cool, but I once I kind of passed that age where like all my cousins had lost their hair because of like baldness runs on your mom's side of the family, right? Mm-hmm. Like after I passed the threshold, I was like, all right, got dad's hair gene. We're gonna cut it down and make life a little bit easier. Yeah.
Man, some of the things I learned doing this podcast are astounding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's important stuff,
I mean, these are life lessons. We're talking about life here, man. It's not just recording drums. It's about life,
Yeah, right. I mean,
yeah.
Then I look at like videos and pictures of like Vinny playing like in studios or Picaro and like glasses and picking their nose and just all that stuff. It's like, oh, right. Wait, am I doing it wrong? I think I'm doing it wrong. I should look like that.
That's a great
sweatpants.
That's a great runway to my next question, because when we met, like it was probably over 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
You were still doing some cartage.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you moved to town to do, which I thought was a kind of a unique angle. You didn't move to town to do it. That was what you did for work when you first moved to town.
Yeah. So I moved from Wisconsin and like didn't know anybody. Just dove in, like like some guys, like they'll kind of have connections from school, wherever they went to school. or they've got friends here from other bands that moved to town or whatever it is. Me, it was very intimidating. I mean, I always wanted to come here. Like even like growing up, I felt like anxiety because I'm like, oh, I'm not in LA yet. I knew I wanted to go here. So there was no question I was moving.
Right.
But yeah, and then I was like, man, I kind of had fallen into kind of the session thing in Wisconsin, and it was fun. I kind of had an innate ability to tune drums and kind of understood the whole engineering thing with it. And so I knew what I wanted to do in LA, and I wanted to play live too.
Pause.
What's that?
Pause. So what were you, how did that happen? How were you working in Wisconsin? Like, was it all in Milwaukee, Madison? Where were you?
Oh, good question. I'm from Green Bay.
Oh,
and which is
you were killing the studio scene in Green Bay.
Wow, I mean, really, the studio scene is just Wisconsin. Like you have to kind of travel, which is it's a smaller state, but killing the studio scene. My dad was a guitar player, session and live, so he was kind of I started playing with him when I was like honestly, like 2 or 3 years old. I was on stage playing drums, and so he was kind of my route into meeting people, and I was the young kid playing with all the older bands, that kind of thing. And yeah, so there's not much of a studio scene. Madison has a couple good spots. Butch Vig's studios in Madison, or was in Madison. I'm sure it is still. Right. Appleton, Wisconsin, which I'm sure you've played before. They have a couple good studios in Milwaukee, of course. So yeah.
Okay. And so because of your dad, you met guys when you were young, and you just started doing it.
Yeah, man. It was that thing of like, I was just playing as much as I could and got out and met people. And then when I went to college in Wisconsin, it was the same thing. I moved in the city, just started meeting as many people, whether they went to school with me or whether they were bands around town that I was going to see that, needed a drummer. And so that was it too. And then that kind of took me into the Twin Cities while I was in college. So I was doing things in the Twin Cities and stuff. And there's a funny story to me being in the Twin Cities, and one of the drummers I met there that it was good advice at the time. It's a whole separate story. I don't know. Should I veer off on a tangent about this?
Of course. That's the point.
Yeah. Okay. So I was maybe a sophomore, junior in college, and there was this band, Catch Penny was the name. I'm crazy. I remember that. And their producer, who I had met and was going to see in Minneapolis, Michael Bland, who was, I don't know if you know who that is, but Prince's drummer, and he plays with Soul Asylum, I think still. But I mean, legendary drummer, especially in the Midwest, like feel pocket, like playing to the song.
Ridiculous.
He's in that category with like, Charlie and Ringo, in my opinion. Like he's that guy, like as far as like gets it. Right. And there was a place called Bunkers where he played every Monday night, and like Prince would come there, and like all these other like heavy players. So we drive from Wisconsin over the border and go see these guys play. And I met him, and it was, hey, you should come audition for this band. They're going to do an album. They're going to like tour. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Michael Bland just asked me to do this. So I learned like 4 songs and went over there, and it was funny. I was expecting, this is going to sound like I'm not a dick, but I was like, I'm going to get this gig. It's no problem. This is for me. It's a rock gig. Come on. I knew who the other guys were auditioning.
Right.
And it's like, I got this. And went and played it. Went great. Like everything was good. The guys loved it. And I got back to Wisconsin like a day later. I hadn't heard, and I was like, okay. So I called Michael, and he's like, yeah, man, no, it's just, it's not going to work out. And I go, oh, really? Oh, okay. So he's like, yeah, not just the band. Like you should just probably stop drumming. You should probably not do this for like a living. I went, it was that moment of like crushed me. Whoa. It was like, what? He's like, yeah, you gotta like pick a genre. Like I could tell you like playing all different genres, and like you just need to like be like a rock and roll guy, or you need to be a pop guy, or like a jazz guy, or blues guy. I'm like, oh, I kind of like playing everything. He goes, yeah, nah, you should just kind of give up on it. But do you like do anything else? I was like, no, sorry, thank you, Mr. Bland. And like just I didn't play for like 2 weeks and just crushed me. Yeah. So
Whoa, that's heavy.
and I didn't listen to him. Yeah, no, it was I didn't listen to him because that's what I do still. Yeah. Just like, I don't know.
Well, that's so weird. I mean,
yeah, it was a weird moment. And I mean, I still love Michael Bland. It didn't affect my feeling. I think he's an amazing drummer and producer and musician. So yeah.
I never liked that kind of advice.
Funny story. Yeah, I don't know. He was really trying to help me. He really believed what he told me was for my well-being. But yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, so
anyway.
you were working like a decent amount, like throughout Wisconsin.
Yeah, between live gigs and recording and teaching and I worked at a music store there, and that's kind of the segue to coming out here. When I worked at the music store in Green Bay, whenever like we did clinics, like we did drum clinics, we brought in drummers. Like the drum department was the place to go to in all of like Northeast Wisconsin. So
sure, I
kind of was assistant or ran the drum department with the other guy there, and we'd bring these drummers, and there would be like Kenny Arnoff and Mike Mangini and Todd Zuckerman, and like all these guys were coming through. So not only did I get to meet them and like learn from them and kind of see how they did things, but I was the guy that like set up the kits and unboxed the things from whatever company they were with and tuned the drums up and was like their guy, which at the time I didn't really realize what was happening, but it was fun. I'm just I've got drums everywhere, and I love everything about drums and what they're made of and how they tune up and why they tune up a certain way and what heads. So kind of was already in training for that, and I love doing it. Didn't bother me at all. Like some guys get bummed out, or there's a stigma to being like a drum tech, which I don't know. I don't really get it, but some guys have that. Mm-hmm. So when I moved out to LA, a friend of mine from Wisconsin was like, hey, you should call up. He sent me a list. He's like, he knew of, it was Drum Paradise, SIR, and Drum Doctors. He's like, just contact them. Like they work with, like in particular, Drum Paradise and Drum Doctors. He's like, those are the two that kind of like work with the session drummers that's in the world that you want to be in. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. Like I moved here. I was working at Sam Ash out in the valley, like off DeSoto. Like it was cool because like being in the drum department there, like Taylor Hawkins came in all the time and like other drummers that lived out in that part of town. Mm-hmm. So it was cool. And I kind of started to meet people doing that. And then out of all the resumes and like things I was going out to meet people, Ross from Drum Doctors called me. He goes, hey, can you come down today? I want to meet you. It sounds like, we might have an opening. So I went down and met Ross, and basically on the spot, he just asked me questions like, oh, so you know tune drums? I go, yeah. He's like, can you drive like a van and like, can you like lift cases and stuff? I'm like, yeah, I love drums. And he's like, so, but you're working on the side, so this doesn't have to be your main income. I'm like, yeah, I'm still, doing other things. And by then I was playing a little bit. Yep. And that's all it came to be. So I was at Drum Doctors, and which was amazing because Abe Laboriel Jr., who was to this day one of my favorite drummers of all time and biggest influences, was one of the guys there. Josh Freese has been there forever. Same thing with Josh. And then Jim Keltner, who was like, when I got to meet Jim for the first time, it was legendary to me. It was surreal. So like, and there's maybe 5 or 10 other drummers that have been there or still there, but those were the 3 where like, oh, wait, I get to like meet these guys and like bring stuff in the studio and then see them work and be in the room. And like, honestly, it's the most invaluable or valuable like things I've ever had to do was because of Drum Doctors and being in those scenarios, not just with like the drummers,
Mm-hmm.
Those three in particular, who are, super influential to me and kind of represent my playing
Mm-hmm.
in different aspects. Just the engineers and the producers, and just seeing the setup of just the vibe of how to talk to people, and everything that, like, you're amazing at. It was that thing where, like, I was learning it and seeing it in action, and just the way they would play in certain parts, and even the way they were, would try to guide things, or everything, you know what I mean? It was so cool to see that. And just over the years, I learned so much being a part of it. So, like, the little bit of, like, having to get to a studio at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning, set up the kit, and then, tune it up for those guys. It was,
Right.
it was amazing, really. Yeah.
So you got to learn like Abe and Josh and Jim's setup kind of, and you kind of,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. And
I mean,
particularly Keltner, was it like, that's obviously super interesting. Was it always different with Keltner, or was it like, like who knows what's going to happen with Keltner this time, or was it kind
oh,
of,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, it was funny. Like, we'd show up, and, like, the engineer would come up and just be like, "What is that? He's going to use that? Like, he's going to play on that? What is he? Hey, what?" And, like, it's crazy. Like, if you've ever looked up a Keltner setup or seen him play, like, it's wacky stuff, but it works when he plays it. And, like, I've seen him play really, like, hard and really soft. Like, it's not like he's got a thing, and he's got so many toys, and, like, it's about playing with different sticks and sounds, and, like, his feel and how he approaches it. Like, it's, I mean, so cool to see that in person, and, like, just have him vibe and, control the room. Like, when he shows up, it's Jim Keltner. I'm when he's around Elton John, it's still like Jim Keltner is here. Oh, wow, or whatever. So it was really cool getting to see that.
And what could you take away from Keltner? I mean, Keltner is so unique, like so unique, that he's allowed to be himself, right? Where, younger guys like us, we're almost there to play a role as, like, okay, drummer, of course they want your creativity and your input, but when you hire Keltner, you're really hiring Keltner to be Keltner and do Keltner. What do you think just from, not only setting him up, but, and I'm assuming you were able to hang out and watch a handful of sessions or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what could you take from that? That's, his total uniqueness, that you're like, well, I could maybe, steal some of that,
Yeah. I mean, he's very, like, he's very modest. Like, he is like less is more with him. You know what I mean? Like, his use of space, and just, like, watching him listen to a song and just kind of be like, okay, cool. And, like I can just see him processing it, and seeing him play it, the space and the parts that he lets. And it's kind of like how, like, Charlie Watts, I think a great example are him and Charlie, like, the placement of things, like, even hi-hat hits, where it's not like a consistent eighth note or 16th note thing. Like, it's just crazy to see the orchestration within the drum kit, which I always attribute that to Charlie as well, with the way he played. And, like, he kind of was the Stones for me, the way he played, and Jim's the same way. Whenever he's playing on an album, it's like, okay, they're doing this, so I got to lay off on this, or I'm going to be, maybe there's not even, no downbeat going into the chorus on beat one, because there's a strum on, the guitar player doing something cool. So it's all things like that, of just less is more. And then seeing, like, even, like, being behind the Pro Tools screen, and, like, seeing where he's placing things, of, like, being behind the beat, or, like, being in front of the beat, rushing things, or, like, a fill to give it excitement. We're, like, sometimes, like, coming in, maybe you wouldn't know. You're like, oh, I gotta, like, lay back on every fill going in, and be, like, on the grid exactly, or whatever, conception somebody might have. And it was just great watching him do all of that, and be like this, like, just composing his instrument, not just drums, but, like, it was this whole, painting, not to be too, artsy with it, but it was really something to take away.
Right. And do you feel like that's obviously that stays with you in a memory sense, but do you feel like you've been able to take those lessons and kind of incorporate it into your record?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was just being aware of it. So once I was aware of it, like it was like, okay. And like it was just it's great being able to have, a studio at home.
Right.
I've been building it up over the years, but it was great to just see, looking and zooming in and just seeing where I was placing things about how I felt and like what I was trying to do. And then you start to learn that, okay, those slight adjustments and just, I don't know how to describe groove, but like just laying back that little bit where it moves your, hit on the grid line where your wave is, and just seeing that and like, okay, that's what it feels like, or this is what I should be listening for the click or the like people I'm playing with. So it was really something I practiced every day, and it was something that I'm always paying attention to. Like I'm literally thinking about when I'm playing about, okay, I'm feeling it, and it doesn't come naturally to me. I have to really work at it. Like I'm sure it comes naturally to a lot of people, but for me, it's something I have to work at, and be mentally thinking about. So
I think the important thing that you're kind of pointing out here, though, is that you, especially at a young age, became perceptive of not having to play on the grid, but where to play around the grid, which
right.
is a pretty amazing concept to be introduced to, in your 20s, right? Like,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I think that most younger drummers, I mean, definitely me, I was like, holy shit, I have to be on the grid. Like,
right.
That I have to learn how to play perfectly on the grid. And it's, I have obviously come to realize over a long period of time, it's not about that. It's like, yeah, can you play with the grid?
Exactly.
Yes, of course, but how can you manipulate the grid? So to actually see it from Keltner, but then, not really, like, it sounds like what you're saying is like, that's not something you were ever worried about. It's like, okay, where is it going to be around it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think the one interesting thing that I realized over the last even 5 years was, if you look into the room, I have like, there's a couch in the back of the room with like headphones, and sometimes I'm recording a place here, but really it's to have, when I have clients over, either the artist, producer, whoever's in the room with me here, they sit down and whatever. And it was something where I could tell, like, sometimes when like guys really knew what they were talking about, or girls, they'd be like, oh, that's weird to me, because they're sitting in the room, and it is, when you're in a live drum room, it's loud, so it's kind of hard to hear everything that's going on unless you have like my in-ears, and usually they just have cans on, and they're like, oh, what you look kind of like you're not playing like rigidly, or whatever word they want to use. I'm like, oh yeah, but don't watch me, because I'm my movements don't match maybe what you're interpreting it to sound like. And that was something that I caught with Jim too. I'm like, oh wait, here, don't watch me this take, just listen to the music and when I'm playing. And like, oh, that's crazy. So like, I'm really with social media, I'm really hesitant to post anything of me playing in like a studio setting, because without the music reference that I'm playing to, sometimes it sounds or herky jerky or uneven or not in time. Yes. But it's because I realized, oh yeah, well, without the music there, it does sound like maybe that fill is a little bit laid back or too rushed, or maybe the way I'm playing to the bass, the group, like the kick snare hat thing, maybe it sounds a little weird because we're missing components with that. So that was an interesting thing that happened that I usually explain to people. I'm like, listen, you're going to watch me and it's going to look maybe weird, but once we listen back, you'll kind of see how everything, kind of connects.
I mean, what a weird concept that, like, with the music listening, it doesn't sound right.
Yeah, right. It was, but I'm like, oh yeah, because when you're in like a big studio, everybody's in the control room listening, so they're not necessarily just going after movements.
Well, and not only that, it's like the idea of, I mean, people don't really listen to solo drums in a studio unless you're getting sounds.
Right.
Even if you're in a studio just to get drums, there is music happening. So it's in the context of music. So,
Yeah.
it's funny because that's an exact thing that I struggled with for a while. I was like, oh God, when I listen to myself back, it kind of sounds shitty. Like the kick drum's ahead or something is not quite lining up in a quote unquote great drum way. But in the music,
Right.
but I know that when I put the music in, it's great. You know what I mean? So, you know, I know exactly what you're saying. It's just a
Yeah. Okay. Good. I mean, sometimes I sit here. I don't. It's probably just me, but I'm like, I don't think anybody else has these problems. Do people have these things that they think about? Am I worrying about stuff that nobody else does?
yeah. No, that's
You know what I mean?
that's the thing. It's like if you have a kick drum that's sitting on top and a snare that's laying behind or whatever. The point is that's fitting in with the tune somehow, right? Look, let's put it this way:
Yeah.
if you ever had the opportunity, or if anyone ever had the opportunity to solo Charlie Watts drums or Levon Helm's drums or any, like, just go down the list, right, of fucking drummers in history. A lot of times, if you just soloed them, you'd be like, wow, I wouldn't use that thing. You know what I mean? But that's not the point. That's not the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, and like getting to that, it's all about like for drums, like start of the song, like there's only a few seconds to set up when you're playing something, especially like in a studio vibe, like the beat has to be right. So if you're, charting and like you're making your notes for the, for whatever it is, like got to kind of have the right beat laid out that fits the style, time as far as like what we're talking about of where we're placing everything, and then it's the feel on top of it. So those three things are basically, once you hear the click come in, you have a few seconds once you start playing to set that up for the rest of the song.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's just something that I'm always very aware of, along with like where I'm placing everything, is that time and feel.
Yeah.
Through the whole, it's, for me, it takes a lot of focus, of just intent focus for that 3.5-4 minutes of just making sure that I'm moving through the parts. Yeah. Which is all stuff I learned. And I mean, Abe Jr. and Josh have the same thing, where not as fluid as Jim is, but in their own ways. Like Abe especially, like Abe is like amazing. Like he kind of gets typecast a little bit, like because he big drums and like kind of rock guy and boombastic, and I mean that is his thing, but he can play every style fantastically, and he's so consistent. Where like it's amazing seeing him do it too in that way, harder and bigger and more,
more him,
more him, exactly. Yeah. Which, so it's great seeing the same thing, just in different players, and both guys have that connection to Picaro, where Jim was one of Jim and Jeff were best friends, and like Abe came up under Jeff, and like so he got to go and be there for things, and it's cool the way that they kind of took things from Jeff, who I mean, to me is lineage is still the GOAT, you know what I mean, as far as like what we're doing. I think I listen to his stuff and I'm blown away by the little things he did,
Right. What so just to move forward, I'm assuming you built obviously a lot of relationships with engineers and producers through Cartage too, just hanging out, seeing these guys multiple times, getting to know them personally.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you were checking, getting sounds here and there, or at least levels.
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, really, it started with like you got to meet the runners, the assistants, the second engineers, and like it because I knew that what I wanted to do, and like so really it wasn't even like before even the drummer got there, it was building a relationship with them. And I mean I went to business school, so I was very purposeful for it, and I was aware of making those connections, right? I mean, that sounds a little jive, but to be honest, I think we all have to have that business aspect in what we do. And so I would build those relationships, and eventually, the seconds turned into the engineers, which turned into like doing these big things. And like, that's that was kind of part of the plan, was I would meet those people who I'd come up with over 10 years. And then now to this day, like, especially during COVID, it was like they would just be calling me, and I had the studio set up, and it was these relationships that I had harbored over all that time and all those different studios around town, getting to see, every spot. And yeah, and all my biggest credits come from that side of things, just accidentally via, whatever drum doctor connection I had made. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Did you ever actually sit with Ross and work on tuning or talk about that or anything like that?
Let's see. I get asked that question a lot.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, no. Again, I mean, not to toot my own horn, I kind of always had a pretty good, like, just natural sense of a drum and how it all worked. And
just to clarify, I'm not asking, did he teach you how to tune drums? I'm talking about Ross is very particular,
right?
Because he did something for me like 6 months ago, and I listened to him go in and tune up second floor tom just a little lower, and I went, oh shit! And when I got home back into my room, my ears were like a little more open, and I was like, oh man, there was a little quarter tone thing that he heard that connected with me. I was like, oh shit, I gotta get even more on my game on tuning because I heard that, you know what I mean? And when he locked me, I was like, oh damn, you know what I mean? So kind of that's what I mean, more like really minute things, not this general like, hey, did you tune drums?
No, exactly. I mean, that's exactly what it's been like for me with Ross. Was like, I came in and I like I said, I kind of knew what I was doing. Mm-hmm. And he heard that he kind of had me sit down and tune drums. He's like, okay, cool. But it was never like, so this is how you tune drums to work at drum doctors. It was never that at all. Like, he really is brilliant. And he had the same mentality as I did. Like, getting back to you can watch hundreds of videos on YouTube of, like, this is how you tune a drum, and okay, you go to blah blah blah, and there's a certain, like, variance between the top head, bottom head, and in this type shell with the edge or whatever. And I always came down to, like, no, it's how you're hitting it, what the room is, what kind of heads and the edge of the drum, and what the drum is made of. Like, it all has a lot to do with it. But it was a much more less polished take that I had on it, and that's exactly what he is. It's not like this is like, I'm gonna go through and there's 2 moon gels on this drum, so there's 2 moon gels on this drum. It's a very loose, in the moment kind of thing, and that's the magic behind it. There's no way to copy or duplicate it. It was just something where, like, over the years of watching him, it was just something that I learned too, and there was no sit down. It was just like, okay, it's just reference. It was like seeing that, hearing it, just like you did with that floor tom. It's like, okay. And he understands the connection between drum to microphone to preamp or compressor, whatever the chain is. Like, he understands that with the drummer playing it and how it responds. So he knows that even it's that kind of thing, like sitting in the room watching a drummer play that maybe looks discombobulated. The drum might sound weird to you, to your ear, but, like, he's got that sense of, like, hitting it, okay, it's going to do this on the other end to make the producer or artist, whoever the client is, happy. So that's probably what I learned the most, is like, yeah, it's not polished. There's no specific way to do it all the time. I mean, there's been instances where, like, and even for me, like, well, the head's wrinkled here, maybe on the bottom side, or maybe it doesn't look even. It sounds great. Because that drum, maybe the edge isn't exactly right, or maybe it has to be that way for the sound. The way maybe there's a piece of gaff tape in the right spot or wrong spot.
The edge is screwed up, so the head has to be screwed up to match the edge or whatever.
Yeah.
So okay, so you were building your studio while you were doing cartage stuff too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
so it was all
I moved here.
It was all going kind of simultaneously. Cartage.
Oh yeah.
Building your own thing, obviously playing out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all, again, like, I knew, like, my dad being a musician and, like, knowing the crazy world and trying to make money doing this, and how do you make how do you sustain an income and buy a house and, buy cars and everything, go on vacations while you're a musician. So it's like, okay, I knew going in that you got to play live gigs. Obviously, touring is important, but like for me, I knew I could be at home and make money being a session drummer, and I was, pretty good at it. Teaching, I teach as much as I can, and and then I came down to with like teching and doing that end of things. I always had that going on, and so it was just a bunch of pieces of the puzzle that made it work. So I could do what I do. Some guys can just be touring drummer. I've just never had that for me. I've always been in a bunch of different things. So
right. How about engineer wise back in those days? Like, were you hanging out in the control room watching? Were you sometimes asking? Was there a particular engineer mentor that you kind of gravitated to or became homies with?
Oh man, there's so many. Some of the faves, and somebody who I currently work with, Greg Fiddleman. Do you know who Greg Fiddleman is? Kind of came up under Rick Rubin and through that camp.
Right.
Greg is so precise, and he really appreciates especially drums. I mean, every instrument. He's great with I want this to sound this way. It's he's very good with being consistent, and so I'm learning a lot from him of just his precise nature and how to develop a specific sound for a specific band. I was just on a project with him during COVID. It was 4 or 5 months. We were working on an album together, and it's crazy. He's a mad scientist. He got, when I first met him, he had done the Adele 21 album, was kind of where I first met him. And that was a Drum Doctor gig. We supplied the drums, and Chris Dave played on that out here. They were at Rick Rubin's place in Malibu called Shangri-La. Yep. So Greg was doing that, and that's when I first kind of met him and saw him doing stuff. And so he's great. Al Schmidt was one too, getting to do stuff with him. Okay. I got I never got just brilliant. I had for me, I wasn't lucky enough to be on a session playing at Capitol for him or wherever, but we did it was a sample library where it was the Al Schmidt Capitol sample library with forgetting the company name right now, completely blanking. But anyway, that sample library we did, and working with him, and it was that thing we'd set up the kit, and I would tune it, and he'd come out and put the mics, move them slightly from where the assistant would put them up, and it was just man, it was just crazy. Mad scientist again, just wow. Brilliant engineer.
And then with a guy like Greg, will he come over to your room sometimes and work with your gear, or?
No, Greg has never done that. He's always he's at other studios. He's got his spots that he works at, and he's got his own home studio as well that he works out of. So yeah.
Right. Okay. How often do you have engineers over, and you let them, twiddle your knobs?
I mean, maybe a couple times a month, I guess. Yeah, I have no problem with it. I have no problem.
Yeah.
It's always I learn all the time. I learn stuff from everybody that comes in here.
Yeah.
And so
for me, it's fun,
it's
rare that I have a real engineer here, and I always love it. But I mean, I'm just guessing. I'm just picking your brain for are there particular guys that like to come over and work in your room? Or is it more Zach, just do your thing? They're cool.
Most of the time it's they're coming in, they want to see how I place mics and what my settings are, and how I have things around my room to record what they want. I mean, and then they'll kind of tweak it for their depending, but
right.
I mean, really, it's they come in and they're kind of seeing what I have done. I have 4 or 5 guys that come in consistently that are good friends and clients. And,
Okay.
now we just kind of have a process set up, and I know what they want. They know how things are going to be. And
Right.
it's cool. Yeah. We kind of learn from each other all the time.
Right. So your room is pretty open, I'm guessing, open sounding, that is.
Yeah. And I mean, there's ways to tighten it up, but I kind of designed it. Everything has a purpose in here, like the way the angles are, and it's not a perfectly rectangle room. And probably the one weird thing that mostly every other drummer in LA that I know has in their rooms is they have to completely soundproof their drum room. And for me, one of my favorite drum rooms in LA is Henson B, and they have that like ceiling where it's a tall ceiling, beams, and it's a pitch. So I was like, oh wait, my garage has this same thing, like even same material, cement floors, and I built like a wood platform on top of it to enhance some of the low end that I wanted to get.
Mm.
But I kind of copied Henson B for my drum room, and luckily my neighbors are incredibly amazingly cool because you can hear me playing. It's not very loud, but you can still hear me playing. So yeah, it's
Okay. Do you have
different in that way.
You have a time agreement with them as far as evening cutoff?
I in my old age, now that I'm turning to gray hair Billy Goat. I try. I mean, usually my days set up were like, yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
I think girls like it, right?
I'm way ahead of you, man.
The wives like it.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah,
not
worried about it.
I try to keep. No, I think it looks good, man. We both look at us, just this salt and pepper look. George Clooney's worked it for years. Why can't we, dude?
I mean, I always think me and George Clooney, we're kind of, it's,
yeah, that's what I get.
Yeah,
that's good. Yeah. So anyway, that was. Should I pour another martini? Wait, no, nobody knows about what we were talking about. We were texting.
Now they know. Now they know.
Yeah. So I asked you about dress code, and then you I was like, should I dress up? Should I dress up all fancy? And you're like, well, no, have martinis. So
there you go. Right.
I'm gonna pound this martini. 1 second.
You had all your olives already, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, all olives.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Getting hammered on Blair's podcast. All right.
I think the last few times I did a podcast, I actually had some wine because I did it at night, but it's too early right now. So
yeah, it's too early. Yeah, no. So that's anyway, so I tried to keep.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I tried to keep kind of regular hours for the neighbors, but really, like, depending on any given day, like, kind of be done with what I'm doing at home sessions and teaching by around 6 or 7, because I try to schedule rehearsals and usually gigs are later on at night.
Right.
So I try to pack as much as I can in every day. So for me, having that consistent schedule and like being able to go inside with Kim and have, a dinner or be able to do that, it's important to,
right.
kind of just have a schedule for me. I mean, sometimes things go late, but usually I can be, consistent and have everybody in earlier and out so that it just has, a more regular kind of life when I'm at least here in town. So,
right. Did you build gobos to help dry up anything in there, or you just kind of you just turn the room mics off and that's your dry sound?
I mean, I've got some gobos I can bring in. But really the room is, should I walk around? I don't know if you can see if I walk around.
Yeah. For anybody that watches on YouTube can see it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So like where I am, so behind me, this is actually the garage door, where the garage door was or is. And so that's where my back is. And that opens out to the room.
Okay.
You can see, hold on, my finger's right over the camera. I'm so bad at this.
I can see it.
So that's the room behind me, right?
Yep.
So, and I put, sound treatments on the walls, and the walls are super, super soundproof, as is the door.
Okay.
So like sound doesn't get out that way, but if you look up,
Yep.
Like the ceiling is like open. That's a pitch ceiling. Again, kind of similar to the Henson B vibe and show and tell. This is my finally. I ordered this kit back in May from DW. It's eventually going to get shipped to the UK for the Black Star Riders, but I've got it set up because I've been playing it, and the Santa Monica shells are insane. If you haven't played them, they're my favorite DW drums at the moment. So anyway, that's that kit.
Cool.
But yeah, so then this is kind of that producer area where the engineer clients will come sit, and all the drums around it. So with the drums in cases, it kind of provides a lot of sound absorption.
Yeah.
So I never need bass tracks or any. It's kind of just worked out that because I have things in here, I don't really need. I don't really use baffles or gobos. Like, it's just all about using mics and certain mics, like close mics versus the room mics, and like they're mounted. I have them like kind of set up. Like, here are these. This is this 251.
Oh yeah,
you can see it here. But I have it like mounted to the shelves.
Is that
there's
a real
no stands on the floor? So, no, I wish. No, this is the Warm Audio 251.
I was gonna say, damn.
I wish. No, not. It's on my wish list, but which it's great. They're really awesome. We A-beat them with my friend Eris has the most amazing private studio here in LA. He's got real 251s, and they're close. They're close.
Yeah.
And then back here, this is like this is the cymbal room. Nice. So I have
beautiful.
Way too many cymbals. Some more drums.
Love it.
Behind me, this is percussion.
Love it.
And I watched the
or your tabla
talking with Jake. Yeah, that's it's funny. I was like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to learn tabla, but I play them like congas too. Like, they have a sound, but yeah, it's not really. I don't know how to play them. It's on my list.
I'm working on I'm working on Pandetto right now.
Oh yeah, I'm really getting better, but
it's really bad still.
By no means. Yeah.
Oh wow, look at
right.
That. Yeah.
So this is my like parts room, like drum heads, tools, like extra storage, like cases and more drum heads. I have Remo has treated me well. Yeah, so that's kind of the gist. And then
do you have a cool unique mic that's kind of a go-to, something that's different than your average 414 or something like that? Anything you're hiding in there?
I do. I've got, and you're going to ask me this. Hopefully I get the model number right.
Right.
So I do. Primarily and this is newer to me even. Hold on, let me put it down so I'm not obscuring everything. So it's new-ish to me, and now I swear by it. I won't think I'll ever use anything else. So the kick drum, I've always kind of gone between everything that people use, whether it's a D112, a D12, Beta 52. Audix has I forget what the Audix one is, or like just a 421 or the RE20. Like, those are kind of all mics that I think people know for the kick drum, and it's never been exactly what I wanted. And we're talking about the kick in mic in particular. I found this company called SE Electronics. Have you heard of SE? Right. Okay.
Everybody, I know where you're going with this. Everybody seems to love this mic.
The V kick, I put it in like not really expect. I was gonna be I'm gonna use this mic live probably. I put it's in conjunction with the FET on the front and then the sub kick. I always record all three mics, no matter what style it is on the bass drum, whether there's a port in it or whether it's jazz and there's just two resonant heads. I always record all three mics and I send them off to the client. And that way they can kind of mix the kick drum to be whatever they want. But it wasn't until I got the V kick where it was exactly how, in my mind, a kick drum should always sound with the kick in mic, from the attack of the beater the way it just enhanced the sound of the drum itself.
Okay.
And it wasn't too much low end like a 52 tends to have, and there wasn't the peaks and the transient like sometimes like a 421 or whatever mic on that spectrum tends to have. And again, with just by itself it's great, but with the FET up front and that my sub kick, I can blend the kick drum to just be, and anybody can blend it to be exactly the way they want in a mix.
Yeah.
To be small or big, so that's the first thing that I swear by. The second one is on the snare, and this is something that I learned from my friend Dennis Leaflang. He's another guy in town, fantastic, brilliant drummer and engineer. Okay. He had made a post, I think, and then I talked to him about it. It's the Blair Dynamic. It's the M201 and the M88, which are both hypercardioid.
Yep.
And individually, they're both not awesome, but when you line up the diaphragms on the snare, and I run them through like a little combiner box, so it only takes up one preamp channel.
Oh no shit.
I combine them, and it has the full EQ spectrum that I want to have from the top snare mics, and so I blend them together. Amazing. So again, that's the Blair Dynamic. The M201 and the M88 together are amazing. And then I use the Sennheiser 441 underneath and between that. Again, with those three mics, like, again, the tuning of it's important. But,
so wait,
those are like, if I had
just an M88 or an MD88?
It's the M201 and M88.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Because I M201 is my go-to snare mic, but the idea of and it's funny, I have two M88s that I don't use that often. So
yeah, put it up. And again, I don't even have them on separate preamp channels. I can just line the diaphragms up right next to each other, run them through that combiner box.
Yeah.
And
what is that combiner box?
It's the, can't even read what it is. It's Galaxy Audio. It's the JIB-C combiner. It's a little black box, but yeah, Galaxy Audio.
Okay. And you don't,
so I just run it through that.
And signal wise, tone wise, that you don't feel like that does anything bad to your signal?
No, I mean, again, I just like drum tuning.
Right.
I tend to be very, maybe not unorthodox, but I kind of just roll with it. And I'm not concerned about necessarily being as clean or doing the right thing all the time. Yeah. So that's probably my downfall. But I think it's amazing. I have the complete spectrum on that I need.
So that combined, is there any input gain before that box, or how are you dealing? It comes out as one level that you just control from your mic pre and EQ and everything. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I run it through. I've got an API channel strip that I run it through. So once it hits the channel strip, I can add, the compression and EQ it and like give it gain boost if I need to. But honestly, like what I found is just naturally those two mics being right next to each other on the snare. And I mean, there's a little bit to like the angle that I put it at and where it's pointed on there. But basically, like if you put it right on the edge of right on the rim, so the diaphragm is over the rim at that just slight angle towards where I'm making impact.
Yep.
For me, it's perfect. I've never heard with whatever combo you want to run with a 57 or, some guys use, different like two snare combos on the top, but it's by far the best. Yeah.
And you never have a phase issue accidentally with one of them moving or whatever? Is it just kind of taped, locked in?
Yeah. I've got them. I just bought a mount that's got the two mic clips that are just secured, so they're always right next to each other. Okay. And then I'll show you as long as I don't mess this up again, so you can see where they're at on here. I don't know if you can see, but I put a little. I've got this. Actually, this is something I learned from Greg Fiddleman.
Okay.
We call it the mic bonnet, and they're just the diaphragms are lined up right over the rim. I don't know if you can see that, but
yeah. Great. And what material is that cover, that thing?
Well, I went on
Yeah.
Gear Sluts, and they said to get this specific Oralux foam, and like there's a covering that you put on it with a audio sensitive tape.
Okay.
No, it's I went to my back shed and I tore off a piece of foam from some packing stuff and then covered it in black gaff tape and secured it to the top of the bike mount. And that's it's like high impact foam from like a road case is what it was from, actually.
But what type of gaff tape?
Okay, I can't. Again, this is a Greg Fiddleman thing. For this session,
don't say
we realized.
Yeah. No, wait, are you serious?
Funny.
Are you serious? Okay. Wow.
Gaff tape has changed in the last 2 years.
Yes, I know.
I'm totally serious.
It's not as good.
It's not as good. It doesn't stick as well.
Exactly.
There's inconsistencies with it. So I have right. Oh, you know this.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right?
I just bought a big roll of red because I always try to buy an odd color. So if I take it with me, I know it's mine. And I'm just like, it doesn't stick.
Doesn't stick. No. I know. So I hold on to my vintage gaff tape like nobody's business. It's crazy that's so funny that you noticed that. I love that.
Vintage gaff tape, man. This is a thing now. Wow.
It is a thing, dude.
Wow. Here's the thing, man. This is the thing I love about this. We go from talking about like Wisconsin and studios in Wisconsin to vintage gaff tape, and it's like it all comes full circle.
Yeah, man. Look, this is it. The Blair SInta podcast, vintage gaff tape. You heard it here first, everybody.
That's right. Well, you coined it. I'm going to give it to you, vintage gaff tape. But I'm going to run with it.
But it's a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I'm going to put vintage gaff tape on the blockchain so it's fucking mine, man.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Wow. And okay, so I'm going to just go one nerdery further. Did you ask Henson where you could get the thing in the back so it feels like Henson B? I
did. Yeah. I did. That's where I got it from. That's exactly I told you.
Get one from them?
No, I didn't. No, don't have Far Yellow come. She'll come after me if she thinks I took one of their tapestries. No, but I asked them where they got them from.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was like, where do you guys order your tapestries from? Yeah. And then I saw guys all around town. Guys had the tapestries up behind their drums. I'm like, stealing from Henson. I knew it. No,
I've seen it. I would never do something like that. So I don't know. I don't know.
That's great. Yeah. No, this is. I mean, yeah. Nobody ever.
Yeah.
Would do something like that.
I didn't say anything. Yeah.
No.
This is definitely the YouTube episode. If anybody's only podcasting this one's worth it for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's lots of visuals that we're not explaining. Yeah. Good stuff, dude.
Well, shit, man. Unless you got some other brilliant dimes to drop, I think we're good here. Yeah.
I could talk to you for hours. I know. I was like in my mind coming in. I'm like, we're gonna be really precise and like get down to business and only talk about like really serious things. And it's been a blast talking about everything else. I love it. Yeah. The only thing I didn't lay on you, and I was, that's why I had like this thing made of martini, because the more I drink, the more my Wisconsin accent comes out. So that was the only thing I had to drop on you, was my heavy Wisconsin Midwest accent.
You just gave me an idea, though. Maybe the kind of B-roll where we actually get together and I come over and we actually drink martinis and record it. And we just
and like it could be like, instead of drunk history, it's drunk drummers.
Exactly. Drunk drumming, drunk recording drum podcast. And not only that, what we're going to do is we're going to play first to a click so everybody can hear the click, and then deep into it we're going to go back and see which one is better, later on.
Yeah. Brilliant. The Drunk Drummer podcast.
The Drunk Drummer Drum Off podcast. Yeah. Who's in?
Dude, gold.
I'm gonna take on some gospel choppers, man, and see, see.
All right. Better. Yeah, see how much you can mess them up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm guessing it's all ingrained, so it won't matter. But you never know, man.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, dude,
Awesome.
I hope we hang soon. It's been a while. We'll have to go to Viet again one of these years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We live so close. It's a shame I don't see him more, but man, everything you do is amazing. It's so cool watching it, you know.
Likewise,
So,
dude. I mean, I'm always keeping tabs on you on the socials, So yeah.
cool, man.
All right, dude. Well, have a great day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yeah. Appreciate it. And we'll see you soon, bud.
All right, Zach. Take care, dude.